Jim Jordan sent a letter to Fani Willis trying to get access to information about the active Georgia criminal trial. Now, of course, Fani Willis has responded to Jim Jordan, telling him about his illegal obstruction. So she says about the letter, beyond that recitation of the charges, your letter contains inaccurate information and misleading statements. The true bill of indictment returned on August 14th is attached as Exhibit A, basically saying, maybe learn what you're talking about. We also have, your attempt to interfere with and obstruct this office's prosecution of state criminal cases is unconstitutional. And then she follows with why it's unconstitutional, and as you know, Chairman Jordan. And then she says, your letter offends each and every one of these settled principles. Its obvious purpose is to obstruct a Georgia criminal proceeding and to advance outrageous partisan misrepresentations. As I make clear below, there is no justification in the Constitution for Congress to interfere with the state criminal matter as you attempt to do. Furthermore, your note calls to mind another letter recently submitted to a House Select Committee. Quote, this unprecedented action serves no legitimate legislative purpose and would set a dangerous precedent for future Congresses. The American people deserve better. See letter from Representative Jim Jordan. Yeah. Now, your letter offends principles of state sovereignty. So there we have, we're calling that out with information here. In light of these principles, your attempt to invoke congressional authority to intrude upon and interfere with an active criminal case in Georgia is flagrantly at odds with the Constitution. The defendants in this case have been charged under state law with committing state crimes. There is absolutely no support for Congress purporting to second guess or somehow supersede an ongoing Georgia criminal investigation and prosecution. That violation of Georgia's sovereignty is offensive and will not stand. Your letter transgresses separations of powers principles. More information on that. Indeed, given that two of your requests concern any documents or communications among federal officials, we must note the position taken on similar matters by the U.S. Justice Department. There's a Justice Department calling out these exact ideas he pushes. Given your inquiry implicates core federalism and separation of power concerns and more. Here's why you're wrong. Your letter improperly interferes with the administration of criminal justice. There are extremely good reasons why congressional committees have historically avoided interfering with criminal trial proceedings. Sharing non-public information about criminal matters may violate local and state confidentiality obligations and professional ethics rules. It may also prejudice defendants, victims, and witnesses, or affect the overall integrity of proceedings. In some cases, it can produce a bizarre dual-track discovery scheme that circumvents court rules that are carefully calibrated to ensure compliance with principles of sound criminal procedure. For these reasons, obstructions to criminal investigation and prosecution are properly raised, at least in the first instance, of course, with lawful jurisdiction, basically saying you're messing it up. Here we have even more. Your letter burdens the deliberate process privilege. It's just going line by line. My voluntary responses to portions of your letter are below. While settled constitutional law clearly permits me to ignore your unjustified and illegal intrusion into an open state criminal prosecution, I will take a moment to voluntarily respond to parts of your letter. Chairman Jordan, I tell people I often deal with reality or reality will deal with you. It is time that you deal with some basic realities. A special purpose grand jury is made up of everyday citizens investigated for 10 months and made recommendations to me. A further reality is that the grand jury of completely different Fulton County citizens found problematic cause against the defendants named in the indictment for RICO violations and various other felonies. Face this reality, Chairman Jordan. The select group of defendants who you fret over in my jurisdiction are like any other defendant, entitled to no worse or better treatment than any other American citizen. Your notion that different standards of justice should apply to a select group of people is offensive. Here is another reality you must face. Those who wish to avoid felony charges in Fulton County, Georgia, including violations of Georgia RICO law, should not commit felonies in Fulton County, Georgia. In this jurisdiction, every person is subject to the same laws and same process because every person is entitled to the same dignity and is held to the same standard of responsibility. Person's socioeconomic status, race, gender, sexual orientation, or political prominence does not entitle them to an exemption from that basic standard. Defendant Trump's status as a political candidate cannot make him legally immune from criminal prosecution. The basic premise of your letter is wrong. The criminal defendant about which you expressed concern was fully aware of the existence of the criminal investigation being conducted by Fulton County office at the time he announced his candidacy for president. I have no doubt that many Americans are subject to criminal investigations and prosecuted at any given moment. An announcement of a candidacy for elected office, whether President of the United States, Congress, or state or local, is not and cannot bar to criminal investigation procedure for prosecution. Any notion to contrary is offensive to our democracy and to the fundamental principle that all that know are equal before the law. So that's pretty big. Basically, he knew he was being charged, probably being charged, before he announced he was running. An explanation of the basic obligations for a prosecutor is below. Your mayor makes clear that you lack basic understanding of the law, its practice, and ethical obligations. I direct your attention. So here we go, basically saying how a prosecutor does, because he doesn't seem to understand. As above, the defendants about whom you express concern have been indicted by a Fulton County grand jury. Okay, we continue down. Your questioning of the overt and predicated acts listed in the indictment is misinformed. Again, for more information, understanding of Georgia's RICO statute, in its application in similar laws in other states, I encourage you to read RICO, state by state. As a non-member of the bar, you can purchase a copy for $249, basically telling him to learn what the laws are. And really, the rest of it is similar. I'm not going to go through all of this myself right now, but you kind of get the gist. She's calling him out for his illegal obstruction and basically putting it very clearly that if he continues, you've been warned. You've not just been warned, you've been learned how to learn for a fact you're wrong. No denial of knowing what he's doing is wrong after this letter.